I guess I'll talk about the wall first, because this is the issue of the moment. The president is facing a shutdown as a result of the failure by the Senate to provide really minuscule funding for the wall, $5 billion. It's a lot of money to normal people, but the federal government sweats $5 billion. So this is an ideological battle between open borders Democrats and Republican allies in the Senate who don't want to provide the support for the wall that the American people want. Heck, that's why the president is president, and our national security and our border security deserves. We need it. I don't think a wall, as I've said repeatedly, is sufficient, but it certainly is necessary to provide basic security at our southern border. Now, the House passed a bill that provides some key funding for the wall, $5+ billion. And on top of that, now the Senate needs to act. And the Senate seemingly doesn't have the votes to proceed yet. And so there's a looming government shutdown. Now, believe me, it's a fake government shutdown. There are several agencies that are affected, but many of those agencies have essential personnel who will always be there working. In fact, according to the Washington Post, their analysis is that 53% of the workforce in the affected agencies of a government shutdown will be working. So the majority of workers will be there. Now, they may not be paid for a period of time, which is a pain in the neck for them, I understand. But in the end, almost all of them will get paid, including those who are asked to stay home. So in many ways, it's a forced holiday. But politically, a shutdown forces one side or the other to give on policy demands. And the question is, who's going to give first? And the wall is essential, in my view. So the president, I think, is right to push for this. And it's shameful that Congress, despite the crisis on the border, hasn't provided basic security measures, hasn't even reformed, for instance, the asylum system that's encouraging the caravans recently. So the least they can do is provide funding for a wall. Now Congress is hoping that you're not paying attention. I don't know what you think about a government shutdown. I don't know what you think about a wall. But they're hoping you don't share your views with Congress. And this is what I would do if I were you. I'd let your senators know, I'd let your congressmen know, and I'd let the president know what you think about the shutdown, whether we need security on the border, whether we need a wall, and whether they need to do it now. And the way you can do that is by calling and communicating directly with your senators and congressmen. You can call the White House switchboard as well, and we'll put those numbers up for you once this video goes to print, more or less. And you can go online and figure out how to do it yourselves as well. But you've got to let your views be known here, because frankly, there aren't going to be a lot of people calling the Hill these days because of the Christmas holiday. You got to do it. You got to do it today. You got to do it tomorrow. You got to do it Sunday. You got to do it Monday. Because I don't think they're going to go home. They may go home for Christmas, obviously, the Christmas holiday, and be off. But they'll be working in the offices, so you really should call and let your senators and congressmen and the president know what you think about the looming shutdown. Now, of course, Judicial Watch, we don't wait for the wall to be built to try to enforce our nation's laws against illegal immigration. We have lawsuits. We do the Freedom of Information Act, obviously, work that we are famous for in terms of exposing what goes on. My colleagues are on the border repeatedly. You know Chris Farrell, he's down there repeatedly. We have an Arizona representative, Mark Spencer, who is an expert on the border. He's a former Phoenix police officer, and he's well connected in the law enforcement community down there, both the federal and local law enforcement. And of course, we were down in Guatemala a few weeks ago showing the truths about the real media lies about the caravan, a movement that is assaulting our borders as we speak. Now, on top of that, Judicial Watch is suing in San Francisco. We have a taxpayer lawsuit. We're suing San Francisco on behalf of a taxpayer who is alleging that the San Francisco Sheriff's policy that prevents communications and disclosures to ICE about illegal alien criminals about to be released to the streets is in violation of the law. Now, that case is proceeding. We're in discovery, meaning we're gathering evidence, and there's a trial currently scheduled for July of 2019. So once again, Judicial Watch, we just don't wait for the government to act. And when the government's failing, we do what we can under the law to reaffirm the rule of law and to protect you, American citizens, from the corrupt acts of politicians who want to undermine the rule of law, especially on immigration. So I think this is a core issue to the future of our country. If we don't have a border and it's not secure, we don't have a country, practically speaking. Open borders means the end of the United States as you know it. Now, many people want that to happen, and that's fine, but let's be clear as what the outcome potentially is here. And so you've got to let your voice be heard. So don't listen to the noise that the shutdown is going to harm our national security or anything else. It's not going to happen.